The Circle is Closing by Giovanni Papini, February 15th, 1914. 1. I think it's actually happening. The circle of the creative mind, the human addition, one characterized by will to natural reality. Art was born as imitation, but it has made progress through distortion. Thought was originally born as interpretation, but in fields such as pure metaphysics, it has become autonomous. On one hand, there was concrete practice, and on the other hand, imaginative lyricism. On one hand, an active sensibility, and on the other hand, art as a concept, existing in disinterested freedom. The two worlds have skirted one another, yet always remained distinct. But today, in the most advanced experiments, I think we detect a negation, a self-suppression, of one of these two hemispheres, and that is the conceptual lyrical one. It is almost abdicating its role under pressure from the other sphere, creation that remakes itself into simple action, art that becomes a form of gray nature. 2. Dark expressions, the ones I've used, at least for someone who hasn't been keeping up with the stranger and more dramatic examples of recent experimentation. Consider painting. Picasso has utterly exhausted the field of chiaroscuro modeling. Now he takes wooden sticks, pieces of fabric, and tin and applies them to a canvas in order to make a painting. Severini, in one portrait, has pasted on real mustaches and a color of genuine velvet. Boccioni, in several recent sculptures, is using wood, iron, and glass in order to render values that cannot be attained with traditional materials. Consider literature. Marinetti, with Words and Freedom, is crushing and destroying the logical articulations of discourse, syntax, the mind's slow victory over the exclamatory incoherence of primitive language. He draws on visual images, realistic, concrete ones, in the guise of words or phrases, which have been typographically arranged to suggest, by means of an ideogram, a vision of the subject that he wants to talk about. And he makes great use of imitative sounds, raw pieces of vocal nature, which have been transported in bulk into the lyrical frame. Consider music. The noise tuners of Luigi Russolo have boldly crossed the boundaries of attempts at descriptive music, Strauss, and introduced new music, the very noises of life and labor in all their quotidian contemporaneity. Consider philosophy. The more advanced theories, pragmatism, tend toward a growing elimination of pure thought, that intellectual work of art, conceptual lyricism, in order to get us back into action, into life, which is to say, into reality itself, no longer transfigured. Philosophy, by its inherently dialectical and self-conscious nature, has preceded the other arts on this path of renunciation and suicide. Those are the facts. Shall I err if I attempt to explain them? 3. The common character that links together these tendencies is clear enough. It is the way in which the lyrical or rational transformation of things is being replaced by the things themselves. For now we are talking about the level of theory. In practice, the replacements are partial ones, in which a part of the individual personality can still be discerned in the choice of that are mixed in with those which have been elaborated. But if the method gains hold and should push forward to the logical consequences, it would turn out that the best paintings of a still life would be a furnished room. The best concert would be the ensemble of noises in a metropolis. The best poetry would be a film of war produced with sound recording. And the most profound philosophy would be that of a peasant digging with a spade, or a workman hammering away without a thought. Absurd prospects, yet ones that are related, without too many leaps, to premises and practices already real. In order to overcome the raw and unworked matter which first confronted it, the human mind has slowly and steadily distanced itself from matter, creating its very own, wholly intellectual form of matter, which goes by the name of art. Art originated in matter, but in the same way that the petals of flowers, by a sort of vegetable lyricism, originate in the mire of the field. By dint of going ever further in search of greater novelty, the possibilities of autonomous art now seem exhausted. The sea of discovery has been entirely explored, and now we are disembarking on the other coast of the terra firma, from which we first set sail. We find ourselves again confronted with raw matter. The circle has been closed. Art returns to reality. Thought abandons itself in action. Part 4. I have nothing against these experiments. I am not a conservative, nor am I a coward. I like things that are new. Boldness enthuses me. Strangeness excites me. Madness attracts me. These experiments have been made by friends of mine, men whom I admire and even envy. The efforts interest me enormously. It would never occur to me to charge with them the kinds of idiotic accusations raised by passeists. I too am for moving forward, for discovery. But it may not be pointless to take note, starting from right now, of the phenomenon that we might call a naturalization of art. A just and necessary love of the new should not blind us to the world around us. Have all the wells of personal creativity really dried up? And must we now learn that we have to forego all those resources that are truly artistic, truly ours? There is the risk that, for the love of art, which is our only genuine love, we may fall entirely outside of art's domain altogether, and return to the ultimate shame of verisimilitude. There is the risk that, from a rage for the new at all costs, we may end up in something truly old-fashioned, older even than art itself, i.e. in a state of nature. I doubt that we will. I certainly hope we won't. It just happened to befall me, a visionary, futurist, anti-philosopher who likes clear ideas, to call attention today to the humiliating endpoint that certain recent advances, parallel to one another, have been leading to. As you see, dear friends, my logical, disorderly, nasty mind will just not let me rest. But who knows? Perhaps I'm writing quite deliberately to put a suggestion into your minds. One that might even make you break out in song. And if you were to fall for it, I would be right there to listen, and would be happy yet once more.